Happy 68th Facebook Live. Can you imagine that? 68 consecutive Wednesdays, guys. So today's topic was inspired by the recent conversations I've had with my daughters, who have shared things that I've said that I don't even remember saying when they were 7, when they were 10. And what I've realized is if we do not think before we say certain words to our kids, it can create a lifelong impact on their self-esteem, on how they see us as parents, and how they see themselves as individuals. Are we, berating them? Are we shaming them? Are we allowing our reaction to our mood based on the buttons that are pushed, based on how we all know as parents, we get super, super ticked off because of certain behaviors, certain words, certain actions, right? And I know I do, I lose it sometimes. So I wrote down more than 10 different psychologically damaging words that we say to our kids. But before I start this, I wanted to read something that I came across a minute ago on intention. And it says, your intentions create your experiences. So what do you intend to happen? And I thought, if we don't really think before we respond to our kids, we might say things we regret, or we say things out of anger, and we don't realize what we are doing to our little ones' brains, even if they are in their 20s, if they're 14, if they're 3. So if we can replace those negative mental habits with more empowering thoughts, our children will turn out differently, right? In a more positive light. I'm not saying that what we're doing is wrong. I never mean to lecture or, tell you guys what you guys should be doing, what you should not be doing, but just based on my research on parents, this is today's topic. So what are things that I know I've said them? Some of them I've said, some of them I've heard other parents say, and some of them you just think, well, of course, all parents say that with the right intention, right? We intend to say words that will hopefully motivate our kids, maybe discipline our kids, or just set our kids on the right path. So these are the things that, unbeknownst to you, are you aware that these statements can have a long-lasting negative impact on our children? Do you ever find yourself saying, stop being so sensitive? What you're doing is saying, I don't validate your feelings, and your feelings are not accepted in this environment, so don't say it. Stop being so sensitive. It makes me feel awkward. I don't know how to fix it, right? So, number 1. Number 2, you'll understand when you have kids one day. Oh, my mom used to say that a lot. You wait till you're a mom. And I thought, why is she saying that? Until I became a mother. Number 3, now what did you do? I think that sometimes comes out of our mouths, right? If something happens and something is broken, or your child does something that you think, oh my gosh, we don't have time for this, and there's chaos caused because of one little misbehavior, and you find yourself saying that, right? Now what did you do? It makes the child feel incompetent. They're a screw up. If they mess up, they are a mess up. What's wrong with you, right? When they do something that's totally left field, you think, were you thinking? Right? Some people might say, is your brain even in working mode right now? Or this is not even words, guys, but just going, ah. What that shows? Your message to your kids is, oh my gosh, you're such a pain. I do not know what to do with you. You might be thinking it, but maybe we can be more gentler about it. Maybe you can say, I'm having a really hard day, and I don't mean to take it on you, It has nothing to do with you. It's just my stuff, and I'm just having a hard time dealing with stress, so it's not you. And I love you, okay? No matter what. Those little words that you tell your kids to make sure that they know it is not about them. I was told that, after you argue, a lot of kids feel like it's their fault that the argument happens, especially if they hear parents disagree with what the other parent is advocating, sharing, and a lot of times parents think differently regarding discipline, regarding advice to give their child. And so, of course, your children may think that it's their fault because the argument is about them, right? Some kind of child-related issue. And I am guilty of this. I do so much for you. And so when I read that, I thought, oh my gosh, I say that, right? This is what they suggest. I do so much for you because I love you. So do you think that you could please do this for me? But to me, it's still a kind of a manipulative thing to say, right? Instead of saying, we do things for you because we love you, so can you please do this for me? I would just say, skip the, I do so much for you. I've been saying, do you think you can help me out and do this for me? And it's done without any manipulation tactic involved. And most kids, if they're in the right mindset, would be more than happy to help you out. This has helped with dishes being washed and just more cooperation and less, that oppositional defiant attitude. Works wonders when you stop lecturing, when you stop blaming and shaming and manipulating through like harsh discipline. I notice when we do this harsh discipline tactic, it makes them feel that they have no power, that you are the boss, right? That's another one, right? I am the adult, you are the child. You live in my house until you pay the bills, you do as I say, or else. That or else really, really takes away their power. And then I've heard this one, you did well, but you could do better. This statement is suggested, you did well and I am so proud of you. I think you're going to get better and better. So any compliment that's followed with the word but should be avoided because it takes away the meaning, right, of the compliment itself, right? You've heard that before, right? Oh my gosh, you did such a great job on that report. You got a B. I'm sure you could do better. And then it discounts it. I've had kids say, I don't want to share my grade with my parents because they'll just criticize me or tell me, it's an 89, why isn't it a 90? It's a 92, why isn't it a 99? This comparison and wanting them, I've been scolded. Sometimes I think I'm inspiring my daughters. And I've been told, so do you want me to be like your student? Okay, so you're comparing. I'm like, no, I'm not comparing. I'm just sharing. Well, it sounds like you're comparing. So I'm being more cautious about that. And it's not what you say, right? It's how you say it. So with the sighing, the tone of voice, right? It really makes a difference. Another thing, or several more. Do I have to tell you this 1,000 times? How many times do I have to repeat myself? Of course, anything that belittles your child. I've been told to put yourself in your child's shoes. And what did you not like your parents telling you? How did you react when they acted like they were the dictator and you were just expected to listen, right? It's not that big of a deal, called minimizing. When you don't minimize, of course, as a child, their whole world could be about the lunch tray that was dropped in school, making them feel like they were incompetent, right? They felt criticized. Even though no one said anything, they felt that people stared at them saying, oh my gosh, what's wrong with them? Why did they drop their lunch tray? And it kills their self-esteem. It rips their self-esteem. So when you say that's not big of a deal, my youngest daughter always said, don't judge, don't minimize, and don't share your personal story because then you make it about you, Mom, and then the focus is off them. Especially when they want to share, they'll tend to stop sharing because they don't feel like it's a safe, non-judgment environment. So keep that in mind. Another one, I've heard a lot of dads say this to boys who cry. Stop crying, right? Don't be a sissy, or stop crying. You'll be fine. You'll get over it. Just, it's just a scabbed knee. So you fell. I've heard this one. No, is there blood? No blood. You're fine. And then it makes the child not feel that you care, right? We all want to feel cared for. We want to feel that we're important. So when you minimize it, the child does not feel important. How's about this one? I've heard actually a mom tell a girl that, don't eat that or you'll get fat. If you get fat, you're not going to get a boyfriend. Yes, I actually heard that about 10 years ago. So whenever you say any comments about weight, food, or eating habits, be very cautious, because that can trigger possible eating disorders or just not feeling that they're good enough the way that they are. So you can try to implement or scatter little praises. You know what? You are perfect exactly the way that you are. Do you know that you are enough? You are enough being who you are, no matter what grades you get, right? You're not advocating Fs, but you want them to know that grades do not define their worth and their behavior. Just because they misbehave does not mean that they are lesser of a child. It doesn't demean their value as a child, right? And then, of course, I said this, but I think it should be reiterated. You better do as I say or else, right? Fear to discipline, right? When your child fears the consequences, either words or actions, it's very unhealthy. It'll backfire. To you, it might work because you get the immediate result. But what happens is that the child builds resentment and they do not feel safe in sharing, which means they tend to lie because they know that if the truth were to be shared, they'll be in big trouble. So I always told my daughters, to me, lying is one of the worst things. So I'd rather them share the truth and they won't be in trouble, right? You can talk about it. Natural consequences often works the best, but you can actually have a healthy discussion instead of shaming, blaming, and telling them, I thought you knew better than that. You did what? Right? Anything that you feel is not a positive thing to say, it probably shouldn't be said, and rephrase it. Don't eat that or you're going to get fat. It says, right here, this is a family parenting article. I don't think it would be a good idea to eat that because it's not very good for your health. Big difference, right, than saying you're going to get fat if you eat that. Kids, feel like their opinions are not valid, right, if we don't allow them to share their opinions without judgment. Last few things, you're just like your mom. You're just like your grandma. You're just like your dad. You're just like your uncle when it comes to a negative criticism, right? Maybe you feel that a certain parent or an aunt, uncle, grandparent has a bad habit. So you just say, oh my gosh, you're just like your dad. And when they're criticized, not only do they change their perception of the family member you're criticizing, it makes them think, so am I not supposed to admire or like the offended family member? So be careful of that. Another one all of us say, we can't afford that. I was sharing that statement with my husband, and you know what the suggested thing to say is? You know what? I'd love to get that for you, but we're saving our money. And my husband said, saving our money for what? And you know what it was? We're saving our money so we can eat. We're saving our money so we can pay our mortgage. We're saving our money so we can pay the electricity and the water and have gas in our car. You can just say a couple of them. Hey, Mary. Oh my gosh, it's my friend Mary from Texas. So be very, very conscious and be cautious in what you say when it comes to money. Because when I share maybe things to get that'll help, like organizers or something academic, my student might say, oh, my parents would just say, we can't afford that, which really gives them money issues, and they'll learn to focus on lack. And Mary and I were on in this program that really dealt with overcoming limited beliefs, right? And a lot of times it is hard, not impossible, but really difficult to rewire those negative belief systems that really rule your life. Some people will only be in this little safe box and they hesitate in getting out of their comfort zone or just allowing, right? Allowing them to attract the wealth that they deserve because they're in that lack mentality. So try to substitute that we can't afford that with, I would love to get that. Maybe one day you can just stop at that, because if you sometimes say we're saving our money, you know that children will always have something to say back. But I think if you say, let's save our money to so we can stay in our house, right? That's kind of a big statement. Yes, be warrior-minded, Mary says, definitely. And that's how I was raised. A lot of us say that. Well, you know what? That's how I was raised. And I've had some people say, I was raised that way. I was raised with a belt, with a slipper, with a horsewhip. And I turned out fine. Well, research has recently shown that kids who were physically disciplined or even harshly verbally disciplined turn out to be adults who have a hard time speaking their mind because inside, even as an adult, you fear criticism from your boss, from your peers, from your friends. So you might have a harder time setting boundaries. And that can make you feel like a prisoner, right? At the workplace, maybe you're at a social function and people come up to you, maybe a particular person, and they're asking you personal questions and you feel like running away. Well, if you set healthy boundaries, you'll know how to just be, vulnerable and say, yeah, I don't, just don't feel like you have to answer the question. Yeah. And that's a really hard thing to answer, isn't it? Or, come up with something that you're comfortable with so you don't have to just open up that vulnerable part of you that you might not be ready to share to a stranger or to a boss. And at the same time, I was listening to this meditation, and you know how we want to be authentic? Well, the meditation was to be authentic with compassion and respect, which kind of changes it a little, right? Because some of us, say, I'm going to be authentic. I'm going to tell my boss exactly how I feel. But if you don't incorporate that compassion and respect, you might lose your job. Sometimes maybe that job might not be worth keeping, but we need to teach our children, right? And really be careful on what we say. If you keep that up, you're going to be losing your job. If you keep going in late, guess what? You might not have a job anymore. And whenever they're scolded or treated they don't feel respected, right? They feel criticized and they don't feel like they're good enough. And then many of us, I'm realizing, even people who are confident, they actually share their inner child doesn't feel good enough, operates on a lack mentality, and just is scared to share the truth. So I would like you to be open-minded. I know your child might question, wait, what's going on? You're no longer lecturing, right? What's happening? And just explain that, and what I'm always saying recently, apologize. I've had to do a lot of apologizing. One of the things is not lying to your children. And I honestly don't remember saying this. It's kind of a joke, but I guess it really affected my daughters. There's a Dole Plantation pineapple maze, and I guess I made them, I don't remember saying that, but they said, I used to tell them we have to complete the maze, then you can get your pineapple soft serve ice cream. And then one day, years later, right, my daughters saw someone getting the pineapple ice cream cone. And they asked me, you don't have to do the maze in order to get the ice cream? I said, no, you don't have to do the maze before you get the ice cream. And they said, you've always told us that we needed to do the maze. And I said, didn't I say that it was a reward? No, Mom, you said we could not get that pineapple ice cream unless we completed the maze. And the maze, there was a little punch card, and you'd have to go to each station. There were maybe like 8 stations, and you'd have to have like there was a little petroglyph thing, and you'd get your pencil, and you'd like scratch out the petroglyph, and one was like a hula dancer, one could have been a flower. And after going to all 8 stations, getting lost numerous times, you'd finally get out of the maze, and then you would reward yourself with a pineapple ice cream. Well, they have never forgotten that I had lied. And I said, I don't remember saying that. So I had to own it. I am so sorry. I said that. I thought I said reward, but if you felt that way, you know, I'm owning it. I'm apologizing. And you know what I've read? It could be apologizing decades later. That apology will go a long way. And when you're forgiven, or when your children feel that they have been heard and you apologize to them, it brings you closer, and you have a healthier, happier bond with your child. And it makes it so much more fun, you know, to interact with. I know the lies about the Easter Bunny and the, I don't know if there's any children watching there. I've had some students pop on in and watch the lives after. But, you know, some lies you can explain that they are, my friend used to say, you know, she still believes in the spirit of the Easter Bunny, the spirit of Santa, the spirit of the Tooth Fairy. But however you want to address that, I had a mom who said, oh yeah, when they were 6, I said, you know what, I'm telling you the truth, because you can't get everything on your list. And I used to say to my daughters that Santa needed that parental approval, and he knew whether or not to get that gift for the child. So you couldn't list like 36 things on your list and expect Santa to deliver them. But this whole thing, Facebook Live 68, is just how to not psychologically damage your children's brains, because we are rewiring. You know, ever since your children come out of your womb, they are like sponges, and they, you know, look at you, and you might not even say anything. Like my students say I have a certain look, and they'll know whether the answer is right or wrong. And I try to have this poker face, and they're like, it's wrong, isn't it? And I'll say, I didn't say anything. Now I can tell. Your eyes just said it was wrong. So your eyes, right? The way that you sigh, the way that you roll your eyes, kind of like obstinate teens, right? So speak gently. Be conscious of what you say to your children and certain things. I actually asked Chelsea last night, what is the worst thing that you could say to a child? And her answer was, you're a mistake. You should never have been born. It's like, yikes. And some children, like my oldest was, you can call her a happy accident. And, you know, we shared that we loved her. We loved having her. It was scary because, you know, Thomas and I had not known each other very long. But you have that discussion and know that maybe it was a happy accident and not planned. But however way, right, which caused them to come into this world, all children want to be loved unconditionally, right? Judged never, and just heard and understood. It sounds like a very repetitive message, but I think sometimes, I know I forget, you know, when your buttons are pushed, you forget. If you're tired or hungry, you forget. And when you're super, super irritable, my lectures can turn into probably a lot of these things never to say to your child. But I do own it, and I apologize. I'm apologizing more and more, like frequently right after I say something. You know what? I am sorry. I shouldn't have said that. I'm really sorry. That was selfish of me to say that. And you can see your child like, they might get upset, but that apology is worth just a gold mine. And that is the end of my Facebook Live 68. And I'm going to just promote my book. I will be doing a book signing in 2 days. right? 100 parenting tips inspired by the pandemic, $2.99 on Kindle. If, those of you guys who can't make it to the Mililani, Hawaii USA Federal Credit Union, we're on a book signing from 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. If you know anyone in Hawaii, please tell them about it. You will also have the chance to get Mama's Gotta Let Go. How to let go without losing your insanity, without losing your sanity, because who wants to lose your sanity? If both books are purchased, I have acrylic paintings. They're like 5x7 with a little parenting or life tip. And I'm done, guys. Have a wonderful Wednesday, no matter what you do. And I invite you to tell a child, your child, any child that you come into contact with today, that you know what? They are special and they will get through whatever challenge they're experiencing because they have that inner strength. Say something positive, make a child smile. If you don't see a child, make someone smile. I just smiled to someone and waved. It was a girl rushing to school. And I thought, she might be thinking, do I even know this weird lady? But I thought, you know what? If they do think that, let them think that, but let's do our part in spreading encouragement today. Try to do it every day, but let's make it our challenge of the day. Remember, Mary, when we're always doing these challenges? I love seeing you, Mary, doing your challenges for LMA. Talk to you guys next week. And please message me if there's any parenting topics, because I'm always looking for topics. And sometimes I just think of them the night before. I just think of it because, you figure I've done 68. Maybe I'll do repeats if you guys want to learn more about how to use your love language, maybe brain exercises, maybe how to deal with obstinate kids, or maybe attention deficit. Let me know. Talk to you later. Bye.